My name is John Manyeke. I'm head of financial education at Old Mutual. So one thing that's very clear from the Old Mutual Savings and Investment Monitor this year is that there's certainly a heightened focus on the need to manage finances. And it's very important for people to be acutely aware about how they deal with their finances. Because, before there can be any shift in behavior, it all starts with awareness. So I think that's a starting point. And for me, that's encouraging. And secondly, I'm quite encouraged by the fact that people are more optimistic about their financial situation, in spite of the fact that about 38% of people living in metropolitan areas reported that they are earning less since the start of the initial lockdown. But having said that, they still remain positive. That's very good. I'm also quite encouraged by what I'm seeing on how people are trying to cope with the financial challenges that they have. The fact that people are now switching to alternative or cheaper brands. People are switching children from perhaps the most expensive schools to cheaper schools. These are very good signs of shifting behavior. This year, we saw an increase in the number of people who are taking care of their immediate family as well as their extended families. The most important thing here is to actually normalize having a financial conversation with the family and be realistic about what is possible and what is not possible, because you cannot give what you don't have. Another area where there's been a significant increase is the number of people who are going for personal loans. Credit is not necessarily a bad thing. There's good debt and there's bad debt. If you're going to be borrowing money, make sure you don't borrow money from Peter to pay Paul. But you need to be prudent when it comes to having to borrow money. There's a growing trend of people now dipping into their retirement savings. Now, the risk with that is when you access your retirement savings now, you are actually borrowing from your future. We need to save for retirement so that when we retire and are unable to work, our money can start working for us, not us working for our money when we retire. So if you want to avoid retiring from retirement, don't dip into your savings.